to the Skiffing and Fantasy Show's Torture Cinema!
Rocketing to orbit, but not with a Hugo rocket.
The way you said that sounds like there needs to be more.
We have one on board here, in the context of this show.
That is true.
Or rather, we have a Hugo winner.
That's true, because Paul is now a Hugo Award-winning fan writer.
And for Best Fanzine. I have 2 Hugo Awards.
And I do want to note that...
And an Alfie.
There were all these times when Paul was like, oh, I'm not really important. I'm not that big of a deal. Just like nobody really thinks I matter. And then what is this? Paul has... How many Hugos now do you have, Paul? You have two Hugos. And how many times have you been nominated?
That depends. We've had this argument. Depends on how you count it.
Just look, the fact that you have to think about how to count your Hugo nominations.
I mean, it depends on whether 2019 really counts or not.
I rest my case. Paul is now the most important member on the Skiffing and Fantasy Show.
Well, the most connected, or the most egocentrical. No, I'm not egocentric.
You're not egocentric. That is very true. But the point is, Paul, you now can never ever say that you don't matter, because you won a Hugo, and I will say I have seen the statistics. You won very convincingly. So, no offense to anybody else, but Paul, he got it.
Yeah, I mean, there were people who voted for me, and then nobody else. It's like,
yep.
I guess I have to ask. I guess I have to thank Dave McCarty for being such a you-know-what last year.
No, you don't.
No, don't.
You really don't.
No.
I think you were gonna win, even regardless.
I think you would have won eventually anyway.
Your work is exceptional.
Maybe this year.
I'm telling you, Paul, you are, like, when I think of,
Actually, I have...
Oh, go ahead.
I have evidence for that position, because Hugos are not the only awards that he's won. Didn't you also win, was it an Ignite award?
I do have an Ignite award. But
that's right.
That's for Nerds of a Feather, not for me personally.
No, but you were a contributor to that.
Yes. That's true.
And also...
You have an Alfie.
Well, the Alfie, although that is awarded on the opinion of one man, and a man important in science fictiondom, and SFF, rather, fantasy more than science fiction, but still.
Yeah.
It counts as an award.
The point is,
multiple award-winning Paul Weimer.
The multiple award-winning Paul Weimer.
Dear God, help us all.
Paul is, in fact, more important than the movie we're here to talk about. But we're going to talk about it anyway. So, I'm Shaun.
I'm Trish.
And, of course, I'm Paul.
And today, on our live Torture Cinema show, we'll discuss the 1986 marketing nightmare SpaceCamp, the sensitive science fiction adventure directed by Harry Weiner and written by Clifford Green as W.W. Wicket, which is an amazing name, W.W. Wicket. And also written by Casey T. Mitchell from a story by Patrick Bailey, Larry B. Williams. Someone left out, someone named Daniel left out an and. Anyway, it is inspired... Wow, Daniel went all out with this. It is inspired by the youth indoctrination plans of a former Nazi and the irresistible family allure of Rocket City, the star of Alabama Huntsville.
Is he talking about Werner Von Braun or what?
I guess so.
I think he might be going the Von Braun route here.
Wow.
Okay.
It stars Kate Capshaw, Kelly Preston, Tom Skerritt, Larry B. Scott, Leah Thompson, Tate Donovan, Leaf Phoenix, the much-forgotten Leaf Phoenix, the Phoenix brother nobody remembers, and the world treasure local talents of Frank Welker.
Well, why is Leaf Phoenix forgotten? Because he's not. His real name isn't actually Leaf. He picked that name for himself.
Don't take it away. We can come back to it, Paul.
Right. I'm prepping the listeners to wonder who Leaf Phoenix really is. We're gonna tell you later.
In case you didn't know, Leaf Phoenix is actually Kiefer Sutherland.
No, it's not.
No.
Stop lying.
Could be.
Stop lying.
Could be. Anyway,
nope.
Next in the script, please.
Yes, I know, I'm arguing, and that's my point of the script. This film, SpaceCamp, God help us all, was selected by our Patreon supporters based on a poll of bad films around the themes of beaches and bad vacations, suggested by Trish. How is SpaceCamp a beach? It's not. It's a bad, very bad vacation. Because,
very bad.
because you're hoping to go. You're hoping to have fun at a camp, and you wind up in space, on a space shuttle that shouldn't be in space. Anyway, if you're not yet subscribed to our Patreon, please join for as little as $1 a month. That's one. That's less than two. That's more than zero. One. And you can get a chance to suggest future Torture Cinema for us. God help us all. And force upon it by voting in upcoming polls. As little as $1. We'll take more, but as little as $1.
Actually, we have a special continuing challenge going on. When our Patreon gets up to $150 per month, we'll do a special torture cinema show on 2019's Cats, a film that gives more than one of us nightmares, even if we've never seen it. Please tell folks about this show and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Word of mouth is a big deal for fan-run podcasts, and we need your help to find new ears for this ridiculous show.
I just want to make it very clear that I hope we never reach this milestone. I do not want to watch this movie. Please don't make me do it. Okay. So, as is always the thing we do, we are going to talk about what we're drinking. But I want to make sure, since we're on Twitch live at the moment, and there are people that eventually be listening at home, if you do imbibe of the alcoholic beverage type, do so responsibly. I mean, that's really all I can say. Yeah. Alcohol is not required on this show, but you can have it. So, Trish, what are you drinking?
Well, for me, it has been a long day, and so I'm just going with pure H2O, refreshing, sustaining.
Oh, okay, so dihydrogen monoxide, the horrible killer.
Yes, and there is a thing on in this movie where it might have been useful for them to have split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, but then they would have had to figure out what to do with that dangerous loose hydrogen, so they found another way.
They did find another way, yeah.
How about you, Paul? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking the exact same thing as you are, Trish. I'm drinking dihydrogen monoxide.
Mm-hmm.
Except no substitutes.
Well,
how about you? Did you think up some special space-themed
no, because
Coolio drink?
All of my booze is still up at the house.
Right.
So
fair
8
enough.
hours away.
Yeah, it's a little bit far. So instead, I briefly went to the store. We have Hy-Vee here, and I went to a Hy-Vee and I said, "Hey, Hy-Vee, what do you have that is like space themed?" And so I got a Sierra Nevada cosmic little thing,
IPA.
an IPA hazy double, an interstellar wave of tropical flavor. I'm gonna take you up on that. On the marketing is not accurate, but
well, that is very theme appropriate. I hope it tastes good.
It's
it
an
tastes
IPA.
like a thing.
They claim, as I said, an interstellar wave of tropical flavor. My wife tried it before me, and she went, "Oh, it's so bitter." And I tried it immediately after and went, "Oh my gosh, it is quite bitter. It is everything you would think of in an IPA. And it is not very tropical. I am afraid you lied, Sierra Nevada. You lied. I don't like it." So it's fine. It's just one of those things where, like, when you have an IPA and like you're like, "Oh, I bet you the kind of person that would like this would be the person that thinks IPA is the world of craft beer." Sometimes I like an IPA. This is one where I just feel like it's too aggressive for my tastes. But it's cosmic little thing, so
you did get the space theme in there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right.
Props to you.
So Trish has volunteered herself, I think, or someone volunteered them. Who knows?
I think they were voluntold.
They were voluntold
by someone so nameless.
Voluntelling is a theme for my family this month, but people keep getting told to do stuff. But
you're gonna voluntel us the plot of 1986's SpaceCamp, one word. So Trish, what is this movie about?
One word?
No. The word. Sorry, it's not space.
SpaceCamp.
It's SpaceCamp.
Space.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right. I was
But if you could describe it in one word, how would you describe it?
disaster.
Oh, accurate. Okay, but what is the plot of the movie actually?
All right. Speaking of voluntelling, after astronaut Andy, Kate
Capshaw.
Is not picked for the actual space program, she is voluntold to help with SpaceCamp, where teenagers learn about the space program at an official NASA space camp. And she's very frustrated, and she takes out this frustration on the hapless teens under her control, doling out assignments on whim, and the kids under her do not learn so well, do not learn to work as a team, and one of the people she yells at takes out his frustration on a little kid, a 12-year-old who should never have been with the older, high school age teams. Little kid cries and says he wishes he could go to space, and the robot that he has built conspires with the NASA computers to actually get these kids sent on a launch into actual space. Andy gets knocked out, so the kids have to make it home on their own, pretty much. But nobody dies. The end.
Well, I mean, the government did, execute a few people for letting this happen, but still.
Certainly, whoever was in charge of security checks at this NASA space camp for kids should lose their job. Maybe not their actual physical heads, but their career heads, yes.
Is that a dislike for anybody? The complete absence of anything approaching reasonable security at this place?
It was a potential dislike.
That
yes.
could be my dislike. I have many dislikes. So
okay, cool.
If you want that one, you can have it, Shaun.
Can we just talk for a hot minute about the utter absurdity of the plot line? So, okay, first off, for a minor...
No, we can't do that. First, we have to do our likes.
Oh,
and then we do our
no,
dislikes.
Yes, we do.
I gotta rant about this. So dumb.
Well, we're going to put the spike in it and actually do
we can do our likes pretty quickly, I bet.
Okay.
My like is that this movie moves pretty fast, and it ends without dragging things out too much. So, plotting, as far as pacing goes, pacing is okay in this movie. How about you, Paul?
I'm going to go really obscure and weird and narrow because with this movie with my like. I like the resolution of where they decide to land the space shuttle once they figure out to get into the shuttle. So it turns out, friends, fun fact, in 1982, the Edwards Air Force Base in California was flooded and they couldn't land the space shuttle. So as a backup plan, they landed the space shuttle, the only time they ever did it, in New Mexico at White Sands. This is an actual fact, which becomes relevant because they missed the window to get the shuttle to land at Edwards once they've gotten themselves set up and then once they've saved Kate Capshaw and all this stuff. So the characters remember that in just in 1982, the shuttle landed at White Sands and they don't have a lot of oxygen. So they actually use a real fact of a weird event at the space for the real space program in order to resolve the problem.
It's kind of
I
amazing.
really appreciate that. I've never been to White Sands. I've only been to New Mexico once. I would like to go to White Sands for other reasons. But yes, I thought, and that was about, I've seen this movie before, and that was about one of the few things I remembered about this movie. Like, oh yes, they landed at White Sands because they missed being able to land in California. So I was charmed by that fact. They use actual history to actually solve the problem.
I mean, it is very much a Paul type of it's very inside baseball nerd. Which I do love, and I really look forward to the article you're eventually going to write about representations of the American space system, space stuffs because I'm really curious what weird science fiction you're going to pull out about this, Paul. It is a nice little fact. I know that Daniel, in our intro that he wrote, because Daniel does these, he added some other like little quirky little facts. Like obviously there's a Wernher von Braun reference, but then there's also the reference to the fact that this was filmed in Huntsville at what is like still the last remaining space camp apparently, which is kind of cool. And there's certainly other references, like the fact that he mentions it's a marketing disaster, but like I'm sure we might remember, younger people might not, what happened in 1986.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If I'm correct, the Challenger exploded January of that year, and so that made things a little difficult for a movie about the space shuttle. So yeah.
Of course, they couldn't have known that when they were scheduling the movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's sort of like I was mentioning to my students today that Born Identity is a really good example of a film that like changes as a result of what happened in reality, because when it was originally written, they were going to have scenes taking place around the two towers, which would have involved terroristic style plot lines, except 9/11 happened right when they were gearing up to start filming it, and it's like, well, now you can't do that plot line. So like history has this weird way of like changing how we perceive film, I guess, especially when it's about things that are, significant in that particular moment. So there's like a lot of like little deep cut, like weird factoids about this film, which is kind of fun. It's not my but it is kind of fun.
I did see this movie in theaters in 1986.
As I recall, it was when you were at SpaceCamp and they had the private theater there and they showed this.
No, listeners and watchers, I've never actually been to SpaceCamp. I grew up poor. I couldn't get to go to any camp whatsoever. I begged my parents, but the answer was a flat no.
I mean, I have the records, but okay. Sure, Paul.
I think
never went to SpaceCamp. With big scare quotations. I agree, Paul. You never went to space camp.
I think we might have a alternate reality problem going on here. Anyway.
Well,
the thing that was your Paul, reminded me of a book I really liked when it came out back in, when was it? 1981. Emergence, or rather the book was 1984. The first story in Analog was in 1981. But it turns out that's a false memory, because I thought that they landed a shuttle at White Sands, but no, looking it up on Wikipedia, it's Edwards Air Force Base after all. So, I don't know what book I'm thinking of where somebody else landed at White Sands, but anyway, it did happen to remind me, however falsely, of a good book, and so that's a good thing about this movie.
That can be taken as a good thing about this movie. I mean, the shuttles only landed in 3 locations: Edwards, Kennedy, and White Sands. Although they had a whole bunch of backups just in case, including some major airports around the world.
Well, you would have to, right? If you're dealing with the various contingencies that could happen in space, you would just have to. All kinds of weird stuff could happen. Maybe there's a malfunction and you miss your window, or
maybe you have a bunch of teenagers winding up on your space shuttle by accident because of a robot.
I mean, I feel like NASA's got like 87 contingency plans for when that happens. Yeah. Well, okay, my
Yes, your
okay. So I'm just gonna tell you right now. You all know this if you're there for the live watch. I friggin' love Max. Max, played by Leaf Phoenix, who this is his feature film debut. You all know Leaf Phoenix as Joaquin Phoenix because initially he went as Leaf Phoenix, and Joaquin Phoenix is utterly adorable. And Max's character is utterly adorable in this. He is such a cool little kid. He gets himself into trouble, but he's like the adorable scamp. Like he does things he's not supposed to, but it's not because he's evil or he's like trying to get some, or like Jeep Jerk or any of that in this movie, right? Like he's just genuinely excited and loves science. And to me, it kind of feels like there is a movie here that is like, here's Max, who's kind of a genius 12-year-old, and then here is Rudy, who loves science but struggles to get it, and they should have like, the equivalent of a kid's buddy cop show where they like, Max is like teaching him cool science stuff and helping Rudy kind of figure it all out, and then they like go and discover cool stuff together. Because I also really liked Rudy as a character. He's underexplored, but kind of expected.
He is very much underexplored.
But he's such a neat little character. He's this kid from a community that does not seem to value what space flight and science is, and he still loves science even though he admits he struggles with it. He's not very good with it. I love all of there's like such good characters in here. And if they just took out all the characters that suck and made a movie about the characters that were good, I'd be so much happier. Because Max is great. Leia Thompson's character is really, really cool until the plot requires her to suck. Rudy is a really cool character. I think you could rewrite Jeep Jerk to be less like, I'm out to get girls, like he was sent to SpaceCamp but he doesn't really want to be here, kind of that kind of narrative. You could make it that, and then he could be a really cool character. And you completely get rid of Kate Capshaw's Andy, which I suspect she's going to come up again. And you just make this about like a bunch of precocious little kids who have varying levels of talent, and they're all trying to work together and figure this thing out of being teenagers and kids who are kind of smart. And then they inadvertently somehow magically end up on a space shuttle in space, and they have to figure out how to get down. No adults involved. That's the story that we should have.
I want to say one thing in Jeep Jerk's favor. When he inveigled Leah Thompson out to look at the stars with him, I was fully expecting him to make a move, possibly a very unpleasant move on her. But no, it seemed to be just that he wanted a mental trophy of persuading a girl to come and look at stuff with him. But he also just seemed to be trying to connect. He asked people questions about what they were interested in and why they were interested in it. And he seemed to listen to them. Although he himself was a jerk, certainly in many ways, he was not the jerk. He was not the awful jerk that he could have been. And
that's fair.
Sad to say, in this movie, you have to give that a like, that he wasn't as bad as he could have been.
You could kind of see, like, he's supposed to be that kind of almost pretentious 16-year-old guy who, like, oh, I don't care about nothing. Like, I'm so cool in my Jeep. Aren't I so cool? But it's all like a front, and everybody kind of knows it, which we learn in the movie it is. Like, I don't think he's a bad guy. He's like at that age where he just is like in this weird flux where he doesn't know what kind of man he's gonna be.
Yeah, he's not evil. He's
misguided.
He's not good, but
well, I mean, I think
he's getting there, kind of.
I think you make a great point that like our expectation here is that he's gonna become sexually aggressive, essentially, right? Like he's only out to get girls.
And sadly, given the 80s,
that.
Given the 80s, I was fully expecting he was going to try that.
And it is kind of nice that he does actually make lots of connections with the characters. And it is very clear when he screams at Max that he feels bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
He knows he's made a mistake. And I don't know if he ever actually apologizes in the movie, but I appreciate that he kind of clearly recognizes like he's done something he shouldn't have done.
Yeah, there's a little moment where he doesn't actually say sorry, I don't think, or he might have. It's a sort of extension of himself in Max's direction. I don't know what to call it. He's clearly sorry, but he doesn't actually want to apologize, but he tries to smooth things over.
Yeah.
And go on, with, let's go back to being friends instead of, why don't you just forget I yelled about you? Which is not an apology, but it is trying to preach that broken...
It's like conciliatory. He's trying to be conciliatory without, like, admitting it. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think like Jeep Jerk kind of all surprised. We're all calling him Jeep Jerk, which I just find deeply
I never
amusing.
bothered to learn his name.
Kevin.
We
It's
probably
Kevin.
should actually explain why it's Jeep Jerk, because listeners and watchers, our first impression is he basically is driving this like 4x4 Jeep, and he parks in a designated spot for our
Playing loud music.
Playing loud music. He parks in a restricted parking space and has to get out when Cape Capshaw and Tom Skerritt show up.
I mean, that's why fairness, both Tom Skerritt and Kate Capshaw's characters are like, they're just kind of jerks. Like, so I kind of don't care about their stupid parking spot. Like, I don't. I really don't. We should also note that Jeep Jerk also, like, deliberately changes his, like, the names around the tags so that he can be in Leah Thompson's group, which is why Trish and I imagine Paul, immediately thought he was going to be the sort of sexual aggressor. I'm glad they kind of detoured from that.
Right, he stole the badge for, what was the name? Hideo
like
Takati or something like that. It was definitely a Japanese name, and when Kate Capshaw, Andy says, is going through her checklist and says, "That's you?" And he says, "Yeah, but it's pronounced whatever his name is in the movie."
It's Kevin. His name's Kevin. It's Tate Donovan for Friends, guys.
Right.
Come on.
It's really stupid, and certainly linked to some of my dislikes. But I think that's about. Well, I guess. That's about all the positives I have for this movie, I'm afraid.
I mean, it does take place at SpaceCamp, and SpaceCamp is cool.
Sure.
And they do get to go inside of a space shuttle, which is cool.
No, they should not have been allowed inside an actual space shuttle.
I know they shouldn't have literally been allowed, but like, let's be real, Trish. If NASA came to you and was like, "Hey, Trish, you want to come and sit inside a space shuttle?" You'd be like, "Yeah, I'll do that." Yeah. You wouldn't say no.
I would not turn it down.
Like, if you were a 16-year-old at SpaceCamp and they were like, "You want to sit inside?" There's no way you're saying no.
Oh, right. Sure.
No,
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 52, and I'd say yes if I was given that opportunity. I mean, I've only seen one space shuttle up close and personal. That's the one in DC.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we're saying is, if NASA needs a new crew for whatever is the new space shuttle, we'll do it, and we will not make much of a fuss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't smile for that. Imagine the photos I can get from space, Shaun. Just imagine the photos I can get from space.
Oh, that'd be so good. All right, well, I think we should have to get the dislikes now.
I think we should.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Can I just get my rant over with?
Yes.
Go. Okay, Shaun.
The entire plot of this movie is stupid. It hinges on a string of nonsensical plot points that I just can't imagine even our ridiculously inefficient government bureaucracy we have today would commit. There are multiple layers of security failures here. One, for example, knowing you have a super intelligent robot that you know a child has stolen from the hangar bay and then, I guess, technically reprogrammed, sorta, or fixed, or whatever you want to call it.
Or possibly uplifted to sentience.
Possibly uplifted to sentience, because Lee Phoenix Max is a genius, right? You've allowed that to happen, which is absurd. Like, that should, no way something that expensive, kids are just gonna, be able to steal that. That's not, no way, absolutely not. And then...
Or allow it to stand.
Or allow it to stand once you figure out what the kids have done.
We're mentioned it's a $27 million robot in 1986.
Yeah, there's
you haven't reclaimed the robot?
I'm all for believing the idea that the government misplaces absurd amounts of money, which it does. But this is just one of those where it's like, no. The number of people that have worked on that thing, where's the people that built it? They just, left it in a hangar bay, this $27 million piece of, brilliant technology, and there's no technician anywhere? No, I don't buy it.
Yeah, who maintains this thing? Because A $27 million robot
Osmosis,
needs a hell of a lot of
apparently.
needs a lot of maintenance. So the moment that maintenance person comes to maintenance the robot and doesn't find it there, bam.
Yeah, like surely
There's a
someone
lot.
asks, right? So that's number one. And then the other really big one is, like, of course, that has to occur because the robot has to, because the joke is, like, the robot takes things literally, which I like that joke, right? He doesn't understand figurative language, he doesn't get a joke. So when you say something to the robot goes, oh, no, that's, like, literal, like, I need to take that literally. Which is a cool bit, because when Max is like, I want to go to space, it's like, I will send Max to space, and then it goes and, like, does it, right? Which, cool. But then they put the kids inside the space shuttle while testing the rockets. Now,
So so the rockets have full amounts of propulsion in them.
like,
A propellant in them. Yeah.
the sheer number of varying degrees of absolute lunacy that are involved in this. For one, the idea that we're not going to talk about the sheer volume of waivers that those parents are going to have to sign for those kids. Because, I'm sorry, the number of things that could go wrong, which the robot basically creates, right? Those kids could get blown up. Not to mention, this movie came out in the year the Challenger exploded, for fudge sakes. And where did the Challenger explode?
Florida.
But was it like at the moon when it blew up, Paul?
No, I watched it on TV.
Would you say that it was perhaps not quite spacebound at the time it blew up?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was
Would
like
you say
20
it's pretty
miles
close to the
above
ground at the time that it went
It's like
kabooey?
20 miles up when it went boom.
Yeah,
I'd have to
pretty
look up the
close.
exact map, but yes, it was pretty close.
Yeah. Would you say that in the history of the U.S. Rocket history that maybe sometimes they blow up at the ground level?
Oh, that has happened. Oh, it was 73 seconds into flight.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
73 seconds.
So you put a
Kids.
bunch of kids inside the space shuttle to feel the rockets being tested, right? Yeah, I believe that for a second, right? And then we're not going to talk about like who signed off on this. Look, NASA's a bureaucracy. There are multiple layers of people involved. So how did SpaceCamp, which is not going to be the top level people in charge, right, somehow convince NASA all the way up to the top to be like, let's put kids inside a space shuttle for a test of the rockets? No way.
Also, why is Space Camp in Florida when Space Camp historically, even at this point, was in Huntsville, Alabama, where there is no space shuttle for the kids to get on to go with space? Well, why did Space Camp got moved to
Cape Canaveral, basically.
Cape Canaveral so we could have them on a live shuttle.
Yes, Paul. What we're both learning today is that the sheer volume of contrivances that needed to occur in order for the plot of this movie to happen is bananas. Utterly bananas. I said in the chat when we did this live that, by comparison, the plot of Flight of the Navigator is perfectly sensible and absolutely believable. This movie makes no sense. It can't happen. It can't happen. I'm sorry. No, I can't believe it for 5 seconds. I could believe Max stole the robot and maybe gave it sentience. That I'm willing to go with it, sure. But you're going to put people... No, it's not happening. They're not getting on the space shuttle. It's not happening.
For a budget of $18 million, this movie made $9.7 million. So...
Oof.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, it came out 5 months after Challenger. And, yes, lots of people probably thought that,
we saw this in real life, and it was bad, and we don't want to watch a comedy about it.
Yeah, or it's like, you're capitalizing on not understanding how long it takes movies to actually...
Right.
Right, but,
Now, Paul, let me just ask, you said you saw the Challenger explosion on TV. Do you mean you were watching it live when it happened?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Oh my God.
I heard about it. That was rather terrifying.
I heard about it
what the
on
hell?
the radio, 10 minutes later or something, but I did not watch it live.
I was 3. But I did obviously see the I forget what the name of the shuttle, the one that blew up on the way on re-entry. much later. The name of which is now Columbia or something. I can't remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that, and that was also rather shocking as well. Yeah, very very different experience, I imagine, than 1986. But yeah, can I just also
NET
mention
in chat confirms Columbia is what it was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can I just say one more thing that and then I will shut up for a while so you guys can talk. This movie made me mad about the fact that the space shuttle is gone and we didn't have a replacement ready.
Oh my God. Oh, you mean the fact that we have astronauts stranded in space at the moment because
at this very moment that we're recording.
As of this recording, and they're going to be there for months because of how fracked up privatization of space has gone.
The idea that the space shuttle is arguably the most amazing space-based piece of technology we've made, like maybe next to like Hubble and like the James Webb as its successor, right? It's an astonishing feat, and then we retired it and had no alternative ready to go. I just like that makes me so mad, like my blood boils. That should never have happened, even if it wasn't like just us. If we just went to like the European Space Agency and a bunch of other like agencies and we're like, let's all work together to build something new and we're gonna like do an international cooperation thing.
Yeah, that would have been great.
But like I was mad when it happened. I'm still mad now. This movie pissed me off because of that. I realize it's not this movie's fault. Like it's not like in 1986 or like the space shuttle's gonna go away. But like, yeah.
No.
Anyway.
Well, but I want to say that because even back then there was talk about what we're going to do next. Even then, and the shuttle's only been running for like 5 years at that point. They were wondering, what we're going to have to. But realpolitik and government bureaucracy and government funding and stuff, and lack of science education by the public and all these other things meant, NASA was diddled until,
you know what I would do, Paul? Anymore. If I were president right now, you know what I'd do?
Build a time machine and fix this?
NASA, no, I would say right now, NASA, you got 4 years, put people on Mars. I don't give a shit how you do it. Get them there.
No, that would be very unsafe, and as...
No, I'm going to say you have to do it safely. You got to get them back, too, and they can't be dead, right? But you're going to do it. You got 4 years, go.
I'm not sure we are even in the right window to get a ship, rocket,
well, I guess they're going to have to hitchhike. I don't know.
Unless you do like a continual acceleration rather than.
Would you guys not ruin my thing?
Because we're not in a good place for a Hoffman transfer orbit right now to go to Mars. That's just because of the geometry of the solar system.
Fine, however many damn years they need, get it done.
You want it launched within 4 years.
I want it launched within 4 years. I want people on the damn Martian surface. I don't care if they get there and they just go, yeah, this was fun, and then they leave immediately. That's fine. I just want to say we frickin' did it. Let's get it over with.
Have you ever read Voyage by Stephen Baxter?
No.
It's an alternate history where basically the space program continues on, and instead of building the space shuttle, we basically go for a Mars mission and put people on Mars.
Let's do it.
In 1985.
Right. Well, definitely I would be in favor of your plan of touchdown, say we did it, and then come back, because as the Hugo Award winners for best related work demonstrated, the Weiner Smiths, City on Mars is a really bad idea with our current technology, and probably for a long time to come. We have a lot of technological problems to solve, some of which look like really, really hard problems, before we can consider space colonies.
I don't need a colony. I just
need
us to progress. I need progress.
Didn't mean to use loaded language.
I got what you mean. Yeah. Well, okay. Dislikes from you guys. So the Trish.
I've never. Oh, yeah, right. So you want to go first, Trish? Or shall I?
I have a very specific dislike that I want to rant about, but as long as Paul doesn't take that one, I don't mind if he goes first.
Okay. I don't think I'm going to step on yours because I have a sense of what yours might go, so I'm going to step into something different. For a movie that's about the wonder of traveling to space, we don't get much sense of wonder, especially when they get to space. We get a little bit, and then it's launched. Oh, we got to get back. Oh, okay, capture. I can't get the oxygen off of the space station and get it back in time.
The extremely poorly designed space station.
Oh my God! That I mean, it's in progress, but it looks like the worst nightmare of an erector set space station I've ever seen in any sort of science fiction film or TV series. It's like, and they just have like oxygen strapped to it, and it's almost like a gas station. It's like, we'll go pick up the oxygen because we didn't put any. Because while we filled up both boosters for the shuttle, we couldn't be bothered to actually put in a full amount of oxygen. Because if they had, of course, we wouldn't have a plot, because then they would just come right back down and everything would be fine, no problems. No, we had to have only a little bit of oxygen, so we have to have them go to the space station, get oxygen to fill up so they can have enough air to get back down again. But it's like, I mean, we get some interesting bits in the space camp itself, like the vomit comet and controls and whatnot. But once we're actually in space, there's no sense of wonder there. It's no like, oh my God, we're in space. It's like, oh my God, we're in space. It's done as horror rather than wonder, and I think that's the wrong tone to take. I mean, if I was accidentally yes, they're in a perilous situation, but there's just not even any sense of really that like of this being the culmination of everything they've done. I mean, however unexpectedly, it just feels really dissonantly wrong to me. It's like it kind of reminds me of Gravity, and Gravity's a good movie, but Gravity kind of pushes you to think like, no, we should never be in space at all. We need to get back out down. We belong on Earth. And this movie kind of is in that sort of Gravity sort of thing. Like, it's almost like, okay, we'll look at space and we'll go right back. And it's like, we're not even going to get the numinous wonder of being in space.
They have a moment though where they all look out the porthole together, even Andy.
It's like 60. It's not enough.
I'm so sorry, Paul. You're right. They should spend 17 straight minutes pontificating about the wonders of the universe while they're trapped in a ship they weren't expected to be trapped in.
I mean, I was typing in chat, get back to work, kids, you're gonna die.
Get back to oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they do, to be fair, they also did spend a few minutes enjoying the wonders of zero gravity. So that was fun for them.
Yeah. I agree mostly, though, Paul, like, throughout the film, space mostly doesn't seem like this real thing that they find interesting. Even the characters who are supposed to be most interested, not other than Jeep Jerk, who says he doesn't care, even though he obviously does.
I mean, Leia Thompson wants to be a shuttle commander, but she gets pushed to being a pilot. And
yeah, don't step on my rant.
but other than that, I mean, there's no sense of and the other guy who says was to open up a fast food franchise in space.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, this could have been any sort of tech camp for all they care. All they actually care about space qua space. I mean, they learn systems, but they don't. There's no. I mean, they have that one moment of joy and the one bit of zero gravity, and that's it. It feels. I felt cheated.
I agree. I think I get what you mean. Yeah. I'm sorry, anyway, Paul. Do you need a hug?
I mean, I could have ranted about other things, but I think I know where Trish's rant is going, and I wanted to avoid that one entirely, so I came up with a different one entirely from that entire sphere. So, Trish, rant away. I think I know where you're going with this one.
Well, Andy is a terrible, terrible person who should never be in charge of children. But partly the reason she is so terrible is probably because of sexism in the space program. Maybe she really isn't competent to be on a space mission, and that's why she didn't get tapped for it. But then again, given her subsequent actions, I kind of feel like there is ingrained sexism in the program, whether or not that's the point that the movie was going to make. So anyway, she doesn't get tapped. She gets sent off to be a space camp counselor instead. When she's checking off the kids on her list, and as far as I could tell, completely arbitrarily making assignments for who's gonna do what, she sees Leah Thompson, the dedicated, earnest, obviously hard-working girl who says she wants to be the commander, the shuttle commander of their little team. Wait, that's actually... Is that after she lets Max on or before? Because Andy sees this 12-year-old kid among the 16, 17-year-olds, this kid who is half the height of everybody else, but who whines, "I've been to the junior camp 2 years in a row. I'm ready for the big leagues," or whatever he says. And she lets him on, despite the fact that, there are age groupings in schools for reasons of bullying and dominance and stuff like that. Also, as comes out in the plot, the equipment is not designed for kids who are half the height of normal. The equipment is not designed for 12-year-olds. They can barely... strap this kid into a spaceship. Into a space suit. He can hardly control it. And she was actively endangering Max by letting him into this, setting where he's a teeny little kid, with all these kids who bully him, when they're all gathering around and trying to figure out the secret he had in the closet. So he was bullied then, he's yelled at by Jeep Jerk, and once they're actually on the shuttle, it is a mere plot contrivance of stupid engineering that he's actually able to save the mission because of being small. But it's just terrible. Anyway, so she shouldn't have let Max on, but then when she actually gets to decide who's going to be the shuttle commander of their little team, she passes over the passionate, earnest, hard-working, smart girl who says she wants to be shuttle commander, and she decides that she needs to challenge the bored, insolent Jeep Jerk who she's already had a run-in. She makes him shuttle commander to punish him. And she tells the good, hard-working, smart girl, "Oh, you're going to be the pilot. That's important too," she says. But it's obviously, not what girl wanted. Not even what guy wanted. Jeep Jerk tells her he doesn't want to be shuttle commander. And she makes him shuttle commander anyway to punish him. And this whole situation really made me angry because it reminded me of a thing that happened on 90210, a teen soap opera, when I was growing up, because Andrea, the editor of the school newspaper, was demoted to, co-editor or some such nonsense when a new journalism teacher came in and decided that Brandon was just coasting. And so he needed to challenge Brandon by making Brandon the editor of the newspaper that he really didn't care much about, and that Andrea was working her little heart out to, make the best newspaper it could be. Brandon was a decent reporter when pushed by Andrea, but it just made me so mad that, she was doing her absolute best and she got demoted so that some guy could have the challenge that he needed to push him to his potential that he had not been reaching for himself. And I guess in a way that's good preparation for Andrea for for, life beyond high school, to let her know that she'll be encountering stupid sexism like that for the rest of her life that gives places unfairly to guys who are not as competent as she is. So this whole movie reminded me of that and how enraged teenage me was when that happened on a show I was watching.
I stand by my Red Hulk, Shaun. Here you are.
Yeah, Trish is indeed a Red Hulk about this issue. It's Thunderbolt Trish.
So, hey, Sarah. Sarah is comforting me. Good news is comforting me.
I completely agree.
So, Andy is a terrible human being for taking her frustrations out on the kids that she is supposed to be guiding and, doing a half-assed job as not even a counselor. I wouldn't call her a counselor because what she does is yell at the kids under her command, tells them they're no good, doesn't give them advice on how to solve problems, just tells them, shape up or you're out. And, oh, she's so bad. But, I believe she's been made bad by society and disappointments. But she eventually, she does risk her life to save the kids, although actually no, because she would die too if the mission failed. So I mean, she's after
terrible.
The disaster. Yeah, she's really just terrible.
She's terrible. I agree with you, Trish. She's awful.
She's terrible, and there are probably societal reasons that she has been made terrible, but boy, she's bad.
Tom Skerritt's not much better.
I just kept typing in chat, I hate this person. I hate this lady astronaut. In fact, in chat I called her the lady astronaut of scars because of the scars she was leaving on these children's souls.
Yeah, she's horrible.
No,
yes.
we need somebody like Mary Robinette Kowal to write a better version of this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Mary Robinette could do it. We have proof.
Yeah.
Right.
You and I both are on the same page. We both really dislike the way she approached the kids, especially Leah Thompson's character, who does not deserve to be treated like garbage.
She doesn't, and she accepts it. She decides that, I shouldn't have been the shuttle commander after all. You were right to put Jeep Jerk in charge of this mission.
It is so
oh my God! Stop it!
and her horizons get narrowed, and then we have to just get her to the point where she can do her piloting jobs. It's like you took this bright star and you diminished it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
The fix to this is really easy. You have the person in charge not know what they're really doing. They're just trying to punish the kids. But Jeep Jerk actually turns out to be a really intuitive, great pilot. But she puts him in command, even though he doesn't want to be there. And Leah Thompson's really good at command. She understands all the people that are working better than he does. And yeah, she's an okay pilot, but he's much better at piloting than she is. And they both come to that realization together, and they just switch their roles, and then they get down. You also remove Andy from the space shuttle entirely. She doesn't deserve to be there. No.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
There's a way to write this story, like to do a modern space camp that is just so much more uplifting and full of wonder and joy and fun and silliness. And I'm going to write that for you, Hollywood. Just let me know if you can get Joaquin Phoenix to reprise his role as Max. Just say, he's so good. Max is such a great character. I love Max so much. All right, shall we do grades? Final thoughts and grades?
I suppose we do.
We are going to make this...
I guess before we get to that, I should mention Marshall Ryan Maresca tried to be on this show, but it turned his schedule didn't allow that after all. It didn't work out.
Yeah,
but he actually wrote up SpaceCamp, a bad movie I've watched many, many times, back in 2017. So I'll just paste that into the chat for anyone. Well, if the computer will let me.
There we go.
Yeah, it looks like it went into the chat.
I'll save that as a link in the show notes as well, so folks at home who are looking at the podcast version can read Marshall Ryan Maresca's a piece on SpaceCamp.
Right.
Perfect. All right, let's do this. So, Paul, final thoughts grade, go.
Sense of wonder, bad. Characterization and sexism and reinforcing the patriarchy of the 1980s, bad. Kate Shapshaw, a terrible character. Comics Garrett, not much better. $27 million robot misplaced and no one seems to give a damn. There's glimmers and possibilities here. It's a movie that frustrates me because could have been so much better. It could have been an A movie or even a B movie, but it is neither of those things. I'm going to be nice to it and give it a C-.
Okay, C-.
That's me being nice. I mean, it's not a terrible movie. We've seen much more terrible movies on this show. I mean, it's filmed all right. I mean, yes, there's no sense of wonder in space. Yes, they use stock footage, etc., etc. But, there's some things that are actual real that they actually get right. I mean, I had to look away when the vomit comment was going because we know me and motion sickness and what happens. Some people who are me in Scotland know exactly what happens when I get motion sickness. So, there's some good things here.
Sure.
But the movie is just a failed opportunity, one after the other. And I feel that even if it came out the year before Challenger, it still wouldn't have done well.
No.
No,
not good,
but since it came in the year of Challenger, it was doomed to die.
Yeah. That's fair.
So yeah, C-.
Trish, what about you?
I suppose there are worse movies out there, but this one made me actively angry in a way that few movies have in the last year or so.
Right on, Trish. Right on,
because of the bad memories that it brought up, because of the absolute insanity of the poor security and poor follow-ups and poor kid camp organization. This whole thing, just has so many bad things about it, one of which makes me wind up for a really angry rant every time I think about it. I'm just trying to decide whether to give it a D or a D-.
Search your feelings.
You know it to be true. I am
I guess because...
loved a cousin. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
Because Jeep Jerk doesn't turn into a total predator or anything and turns out to have some redeeming characteristics, I guess I'll reluctantly give it a D rather than a D-.
Okay. Yeah. If Jeep Jerk was a sexual predator, this movie goes into F territory for me. Pretty fast.
Yes, it would. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Shaun, it's up to you now.
It's up to you.
Well, I will say this. I don't hate this movie, except the one thing that I already ranted about, which I just really find just bananas, utterly absurd, plot-wise. I think the thing that mostly I enjoy about this movie is it is kind of fun. It makes SpaceCamp seem much cooler than it actually probably was. The fact that they got to be put on the space shuttle is bananas, but also, let's be real. If I knew I could be inside the actual space shuttle with actual rockets under me, I 100% would have been obnoxious to my family to get me to go. If I had known that, I might accidentally get put in space, yeah, nope, you're sending me to SpaceCamp, Mom. You're going to take out a second mortgage. It's fine. But it's just kind of fine. I'd probably watch it again. It's not a great movie, but it's not horrible. It's kind of fine. And in some ways, surprisingly not as bad as I was expecting, given where certain plot points I thought were going. So for that reason, I will also give it a C-.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've also just remembered that, the pacing is not bad in this movie, which also helps justify it being a D rather than a D- for me.
That's fair.
So we average out to a D+.
Yeah, about a D+. Not bad.
Okay.
We
All
did
right.
the thing.
We did it. We got it.
I can live with it.
You can live with it, Trish. I mean, it's no birdemic, that's for sure.
Sorry, Julia.
The acting was pretty all right. Don't know what to tell you, Trish. Well, anyway, so folks, that is it. So, as always, if you like the show, you want to let us know what you think about it, you can obviously go to skiffingfanty.com/listener-suggestions or send us an email at skiffingfanty@gmail.com. Please follow us on wherever it is that you find us. We always want to know what you think, and we want you to share our episodes and share your thoughts with us on socials. Most of our social media accounts can be found at our Linktree, which is linktr.ee/skiffyandfanty. Please also get our newsletter run by Stephen Geigen Miller at skiffyandfanty.com/newsletter. Me, you can find me at ShaunDuke.net. Alphabet streams on Twitch. It's where Skiffy and Fanty also streams. My streaming schedule is a bit in flux at the moment, so Skiffy and Fanty Fridays at 7 p.m. Central on Twitch on Alphabet streams. I also have a Patreon at /JoyFactory, and all of my socials are also a link tree, which is just /Shaun Duke instead of Skiffy and Fanty. I also do the histories at ShaunDuke.net/thehistories, where I tell true stories about people that really exist, and those stories are absolutely 100% true, including the one about Paul at SpaceCamp.
Well, you can find me, Trish here, spreading my tendrils and rattling my talking sticks on Blue Sky at P.E. Matson, on Mastodon at newsy.social at TrishEM, and on my blog at whatsthewordnow.blogspot.com, and I also often write reviews at the Skiffy and Fanty blog.
And you can find me rocketing across the internet as Prince Justin, from book reviews to podcasting to streaming to sharing photography and much more. On Skiffy and Fanty, on the Hugo Award-winning Nerds of a Feather, throw a rock and you can find my work on the internet.
Excellent. Well, as is required by the Skiffy and Fanty bylaws, I must make it awkward. And so I will just note that if you can't tell from the video, if you're watching the video, you will probably be able to tell, but Paul also moved, and he is living currently in one of my closets in my apartment. Because Paul, in case anybody doesn't know, is 50% goblin. And goblins like the dark.
Damn it. You weren't supposed to mention that.
And on that note, awkward ending. And scene.
And scene.
And scene.